Sixers fans, how we feeling out there? Hey y'all, my name is Lauren Gordon. Some of you may already know me on social media as Lauren Fan of the Year. Others may have just stumbled upon this podcast, but either way, I want to first thank all of you for tuning in to Season 2, Episode 14 of my very first podcast. I'm just a Sixers fan, the Lauren Fan of the Year story. Now let's continue the story. Y'all, I forgot to mention in the last episode that the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Phoenix Suns in 6 games, 4-2 in the finals to become the 2021 NBA champs. I hated Giannis, but I had to give him credit as he dominated the finals. Giannis would also earn the Finals MVP award. The final NBA game of the 2020-2021 season was on July 20th, which, remember, as mentioned in episode 13, was also Ben Simmons' birthday. The irony, right? But now, the time is now August 2021. It has been reported that Ben Simmons wanted out of Philadelphia. I was a Ben Simmons fan, but couldn't actually see him returning the following season after all the backlash after we were eliminated from the playoffs in the second round. Ben definitely needed a change of scenery. There were 3 guards who were free agents who caught my interest: Bradley Beal, Kemba Walker, and Damian Lillard, a.k.a. Dame Dollar. Out of the 3 talented players, I wanted Dame, like bad. On August 4th, there was breaking news. Sources tell Adrian Wojnarowski that Kemba Walker had agreed to a contract buyout with the Oklahoma City Thunder and, upon clearing waivers, plans to sign with the New York Knicks. The only real option left was for Dame to come to Philly. My only ask was that we were able to keep both Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle. Daryl Morey just had to pull this off. Now, I know that Philly sports fans want the world without sacrificing anything, but why not? Most normal sports fans think like this: why would Portland want to give up their franchise player for Ben Simmons and a few bench role players? Well, this is how I think. Damian Lillard had been loyal to the Portland Trail Blazers his entire career. He has given them his best season after season. The Portland Trail Blazers weren't going anywhere, and the Western Conference teams have always been very competitive. Portland was always stuck right there where they were good enough to make the playoffs, but not really good enough to beat the powerhouse teams. Kind of like our Sixers before we started the process when you think about it. Portland made the playoffs, but were behind talented teams like the Utah Jazz, Phoenix Suns, Denver Nuggets, Golden State Warriors, and Dallas Mavericks in the regular season. The idea of getting Damian Lillard wasn't just some fantasy. This is how I was able to make it into a possibility in my head. What if Dame forced the trade to Philly? Who wouldn't want to play with an all-star like Joel Embiid, a player who was also in the conversation of being the league MVP? If Dame really wanted to win a championship, his best chance was to head east and team up with Joel and our Sixers, who were the number 1 seeded team in the East, who just happened to fall short. Perhaps Dame could see himself as that missing piece. I was thinking if we replaced Ben with Dame during the playoffs, we would have most definitely beaten the Atlanta Hawks and been a strong contender against the Celtics and even the Bucks, giving us the chance to play in the NBA Finals. If Dame forced the trade and said he wanted to come to Philly, it could happen. Y'all, everyone knows that the NBA is a players' league. The players have a lot of say in the direction of their career. And I think Portland would also want to do right by Dame after he has given so much to that organization. So for me, y'all, it made sense that Dame would want to come to Philly, pair up with Embiid, have the best chance to win a championship, and then that would allow Portland to rebuild. Everyone is happy. Y'all, in my head, it all made sense. On August 5th, the next morning, I came out to walk my dog, and someone left a rock on my porch. It immediately caught my eyes. It was beautifully painted in blue with the Sixers logo. And I thought, "Aw, this is so nice. Who left me this beautiful rock?" Whoever it was knew that I loved my Sixers, and I was a huge Sixers fan. I looked around my front door and on my porch, and I didn't see any notes or messages, so I had no idea who left the rock. So I posted a picture of the beautiful rock on social media, and it received lots of likes and wonderful comments, but no one came forward. Then one day, while out on my porch, my neighbor's daughter asked me if I liked my rock. I said, Patty, it was you. Liked it? Oh my God, I love it. I now have that rock proudly displayed in my Sixers room. Keep in mind, at this point, I had only been living in my house for a little over a year, and already my neighbors knew that I was a huge Sixers fan. The following day, August 6th, news broke that Damian Lillard wanted out of Portland. And I thought, yes, it's going to happen. This is exactly how I had it spelled out in my head. Also during this time was the Olympics. Remember, it was pushed back a few months because of COVID, so it was taking place in 2021. Damian Lillard was part of the men's U.S. basketball team, and our very own Matisse Thybulle was there for men's basketball, representing his home country, Australia. Ben Simmons is also Australian, but he did not participate. I don't even think Ben was invited to participate, actually. Well, anyway, that year, the United States won the gold medal, and Australia won bronze. A photo of Matisse Thybulle and Damian Lillard wearing their Olympic medals was circulated all over social media. I tagged Matisse in the photo and commented, "Congratulations, fellas. Matisse, tell Dame how great Philadelphia fans are." Y'all listen, we had to do whatever we could to get Damian Lillard in a Sixers uniform. Y'all, on August 9th, videos of Ben Simmons shooting three-pointers began to surface with the caption, "Ben Simmons and Rajon Rondo working on their three-point shot." It made no sense because, y'all, Ben was not only shooting, but making the baskets effortlessly. Like, I get that it's not the same as playing in a live game with defenders checking you and putting their hands in your face. But y'all, I was still pretty impressed with his shooting accuracy. But then I caught myself. I was like, Ben, fool me twice, shame on me. Nope, I'm not playing these little games with you anymore. Because y'all, it was a vicious cycle with Ben. Someone posted a meme that was pretty spot on. It was basically the vicious cycle. Step 1. Ben shows no type of aggression or improvement on offense to begin the season. Step 2, starts playing aggressive right before the All-Star break and becomes an All-Star. Step 3, doesn't play to the level fans expected him to play in the playoffs. They want him out. Step 4, post a jump shooting video. Fans get excited for the next year. And then it repeats to step 1. Shows no type of aggression or improvement on offense to begin the season. So y'all, I wasn't falling for Ben's little games because we were currently at step 3 when Ben posted jump shooting video and us fans get excited for the upcoming year. I loved Ben, but I began to realize that he was never going to improve. We had already seen the best that Ben had to offer. While at work, I was asked to lead a corporate event, and we needed road signs to point guests to the event location. I was working closely with a guy named Ernie with a company called Fast Signs. They basically do anything pertaining to prints, signage, and they're good, especially if you need, something on short notice or if you have a large order. Well, y'all, I had worked with Ernie on other projects, so he was my go-to for my event road signs. He called to tell me that my order was ready, and being that his store was en route on my way home, I told him that I would stop by the store to pick up my signs. Well, y'all, when I walked in the store for the first time, hanging on a wall was this beautiful Sixers mural with the players and the Sixers logo in a timeline format. And it was colorful and in this acrylic casing. I gasped as I admired it and became very excited, as I tend to be whenever I see anything Sixers. I told Ernie that I was a huge Sixers fan and that I loved it. I just so happened to be wearing a Sixers t-shirt. And he playfully began quizzing me on Sixers trivia. And I was rattling off the answers as the knowledge all was like second nature. He told me he made the mural himself, and he turned around, took the acrylic display off the wall, and handed it to me. And then he said, "Here, it's yours." Y'all, I couldn't believe it. All I did was compliment him on the mural, and he took it off his wall and handed it to me. I gave him a big hug and repeatedly thanked him. Ernie said that it made his day to make my day. He helped me carry the signs out to my car, and as I opened my trunk, he saw my license plate that read Sixers fan. He started laughing and said, "Of course you are." I'm glad my mural now has a new Sixers home. Y'all, I couldn't wait to display Ernie's mural in my Sixers room. This also reminds me of a time about a year prior when my mom called and said she wanted to stop by with one of her church friends, Deaconess Robinson. Aside from loving the Lord, Deaconess Robinson loves to bake and is just one of those creative people. She's a sweetheart. She knew that I was a Sixers fan and she wanted to see my Sixers room for herself in person. So that afternoon, my mom and Deaconess Robinson stopped by so that I could take her on a tour. Deaconess Robinson handed me a gift bag, and inside was a framed jigsaw puzzle. The print was the photo of me, photoshopped into that famous Sports Illustrated cover from 2019 with Embiid, Ben, Jimmy, Tobias, and J.J. Redick. Deaconess Robinson took that print, made it into a finished jigsaw puzzle, and then had it framed. That, too, is proudly displayed in my Sixers room. I buy a lot of Sixers stuff, but it's something about the handmade, unique, custom items that people make for me, such as Patty's Rock, Ernie's mural, or Deaconess Robinson's jigsaw puzzle, that is honestly what I treasure and appreciate the most. You can't go to the store and find these items. They're one of a kind. On August 17th, I journaled, "It is obvious we are going to trade Ben. We just have to get Damian Lillard." I thought at the time it would be a comparable trade for Portland. I accepted the idea that Ben may just need a change of scenery, and I thought he'd be great in Portland. And remember, Ben was still only 24 years old, and I thought maybe under a different organization, Portland could unlock something in Ben to get him to shoot. Perhaps they could also help rebuild his confidence. To me, this could be a win-win-win all the way around. For Portland, for Philadelphia, for Dame, and for Ben. Anthony Gargano was asking fans to call in with a message to recruit Damian Lillard to Philadelphia. He was going to take the best calls and remix them and string them into one message and send directly to Dame Lillard. I thought, wow, I can actually play a part in landing Damian Lillard in Philly? My recruitment message was something along the lines of, Dame, come to Philly. We already have a lot in common. You want to win a championship? We want to win a championship. Your best opportunity is to come east and play with our all-star Joel Embiid, who is playing at an MVP level. We fell short in the playoffs because you are the missing piece. You like to rap. A lot of successful rappers have come out of Philly. I was so excited Anthony chose my recruitment spiel to include in his montage. My friend Kyle tagged me in his social media post that read, "So I'm driving home from the gym and I'm listening to Sports Talk 97.5. It's the segment when the cuz and the fans were talking about Dame Dollar. Who did I hear on the radio? My great friend, Lauren Fan of the Year. Go Lauren." And I commented on his post, "Yes, that was me. I got to do my part and do whatever it takes to get Dame here." I went to the 97.5 Fanatic page hoping to find that recording with all of our messages to Dame, and the article is still there, but the video is unavailable, probably because Anthony Gargano is no longer with 97.5 The Fanatic. That's one of my regrets. I saved the link to the article, but I didn't save the actual recording itself. Oh well. On August 17th, John Clark from NBC 10 reported Joel Embiid and Sixers are finalizing a Supermax contract for $196 million that will extend his deal until 2027, according to Ramona Shelburne. Also according to Ramona Shelburne, Joel Embiid's meniscus did not require surgery after the season. Joel negotiated this contract himself and is fully guaranteed and will make average of $43 to $50 million a year. Wow, that is a lot of money. On August 21st, I helped Kendall move into her college dorm. It was her sophomore year. Remember, she had to complete her freshman year virtually due to the COVID pandemic shutdown. So now they were allowing students to move in on campus. Later that same week, Damian Lillard came out with an announcement that would shake my confidence in getting him in Philly. While answering questions in his Instagram Live about his future, he said publicly, quote, "I'm not leaving Portland, right now at least," end quote. Y'all, most people think like this. Okay, he's staying in Portland. That's the end of that. But not me. Nope. Y'all, this is how I'm different. And most times this backfires. But y'all, I don't listen to what is said. I listen to what is unsaid. That little quote, "right now at least," end quote, gave me a glimmer of hope. In my head, I took that as he didn't come out with a definitive no. And all this means is that he is still in the negotiation phase. And y'all thinking like that, that's how I get myself in trouble as a fan. On August 27th, I read an article on thesportsrush.com with the headline, "Philadelphia 76ers have the most stressed NBA fans. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons kept the city of brotherly love constantly tense." Thank you. This was exactly the point I wanted to get across to Danny Green when I felt like he was blaming the fans and our behavior as the reasons why we weren't getting out of the second round. There was so much truth in that headline. Lots of blame was being directed to Ben because there was so much pressure on the process and the focus to win a championship. Not only did us fans feel that, I'm sure the players felt the effect. Now, keep in mind, we are now like in the last week of August. We had been eliminated at this point 2 months ago. And y'all, all of the blame, for the most part, was still being directed at Ben Simmons. But I thought that Embiid didn't do enough to hold himself accountable. Well, other than saying I was playing with a torn meniscus, which was true, I don't think he let the fans know that because he was injured, that was the reason why we didn't advance out of the second round. Like, let's talk about Embiid starting each season out of shape. I remember early in his career seeing him eating burgers or some kind of like sandwiches on the sideline before the game. And talk about a lack of discipline. Let's talk about how Embiid doesn't take care of himself and how that increases his risk for injuries, which is why he always ends the regular season hurt. And say what you want about Ben not shooting, but for the most part, Ben suited up. And I always said the best ability is availability. But either way, we have to hold the coaching staff and the organization accountable because they weren't holding the players accountable. Like, how was Embiid able to show up season after season not in shape? Like, how was Ben Simmons able to play all these games and not shoot? Like, where was the accountability? That's the fault of the organization. And then what is also crazy is hardly anyone placed blame on Doc Rivers as the coach. I felt like we were able to mask a lot of our issues and internal problems because we were playing well and we were the number one seed. And you're able to do that when you're winning. But once you lose, the veil is lifted and people are searching around with flashlights for answers as to why we're not able to advance. I thought, geez, maybe now during this off season, everyone can just reset and clear their heads and rest their body and mind. This just didn't apply to the players. This applied to all of the Sixers fans, including myself. So y'all, as I mentioned, the time is now the end of August, and I began having Sixers NBA withdrawal. I would love to be watching an NBA game right now. Y'all, I was already counting down to the fresh start of a new season. On August 31st, it was reported by Jason Dumas that Rich Paul, the NBA agent with Clutch Sports, who represents Ben Simmons and Tyrese Maxey, quote, wanted both his clients out of Philadelphia, end quote. I quickly commented on the online post, I don't give a F where Ben goes, but please do not take Maxey. Forget about what the fans want, what Ben wants, or what Rich Paul wants. I wonder what Maxey wants. I felt like deep down, Tyrese Maxey loved playing in Philadelphia and wanted to be a part of this organization. But then I began to think, what if behind the scenes he wants out? There was a lot of doubt and questions and uncertainty going on during the off season. On August 31st, my guy, Keith Pompey from the Philadelphia Inquirer, tweeted, Ben Simmons tells Sixers brass he no longer wants to be a Sixer and does not intend to report to training camp, according to multiple sources. I knew this would definitely be a distraction for the upcoming season. Y'all, I looked at our Sixers logo, and at the time, it was the one with the white bell, with Philadelphia at the top of the bell in red, and it had the red and blue 7-6 in the body of the bell, and it had the snake intertwined around the bell. I researched the meaning of the snake. The snake is a symbol of transformation. They teach us how vital it is to shed what no longer serves us. Snakes must literally shed or die. As painful as letting go of what restricts us can sometimes be, it's what allows us to survive, grow, and thrive. And I thought, Our Sixers squad is going through a transformation. Right now, Ben Simmons is restricting us, but we must shed him in order for us to survive, grow, and thrive. Man, I hope Daryl Morey can move Ben Simmons before the start of our upcoming season. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And be sure to tune in next weekend as we continue the story.